kingdom in terms of creating opportunities for where Box can go. Because you look at Box today and you solve this storage and this collaboration problem, which is a hard problem. It's just a pain point, right? Like I'm in an organization, I've got a partner who may not be in the same company. They don't even have the same system as us. Why should they? We put up on Box, everyone shares, and then we're done. Sort of teams come together, they share, they go away. Same thing internally, becomes this larger and larger store of information. But then there's obviously this bigger opportunity of like, okay, well, once you have a lot of that knowledge, right, it's the living, breathing knowledge of the organization, how can you mine that? How can you go beyond storage? What do you want to be, 5 years from now?
Sure. Well, so just to add to that, so if you think about it, we are going from a world where most blue chip businesses were all about sort of operational efficiency, economies of scale, lots of infrastructure. Sometimes that's technology infrastructure, sometimes that's manufacturing infrastructure, sometimes that's retail infrastructure, and just lots of points of presence. We're moving to a world now where competitive advantage is rarely created by the company that has the most scale, because now a lot of that is just either rented or it's virtual. So you'd be much better, developing an e-commerce service than going and putting another site in a shopping mall. So the nature of competition has changed for our customers and for all our customers, most likely. And so that has moved from this sort of industrial economy approach to competitive advantage to something that's more of an information economy approach, which is, can I serve my customers faster and with better service because of the data that I have about them? Can I make better decisions because of the assets that I have about my business? So if I'm in the life sciences business, that's in drug discovery. If I'm in the financial services industry, that's going to be making better financial and risk decisions. Can I build new products because either people have insights around the business that I wasn't capturing previously, or am I able just to digitize my products and make them as better experiences for my customers? So every single thing about where companies are going, whether that's Procter & Gamble or General Electric or Disney, is going to come down to IT. And it's going to come down to their technology strategy, and can they put together a compelling and a competitive technology strategy that leverages the unique information that they have, whether that was because of their people, because of their customers, because of their products. And we deal in storing some amount of that information, certainly not all of it. And once it's in Box, we want to make sure that our customers can leverage that as much as possible to actually gain the competitive advantage that they should be able to because they now have access to all of this data. In some cases, that's just making sharing tremendously easier, right? Where you want to be able to move information to the right pockets of the organization at the right time. In other areas, it's really through our platform. So we build a horizontal technology platform that has storage and search and security and identity. But what we don't do is we don't verticalize that in the manufacturing space. We don't verticalize that in the construction space. So we need partners that are going to take the information assets that are in Box and help our customers and help these industries become more successful with that data. And so ultimately, where you'll see more of our innovation over time is really at the platform level, where we can improve and create new developer tools, new ways that you can integrate with Box, and then new ways ultimately to hopefully go to market. So what we'd like to be able to have happen is that sales channel that we built up, we think that should be a sales force for our partner ecosystem as well. And how can we enable our customers to have access to world-class technology that's built on Box?
So you'd like other products, other companies to build some. You can't do everything, and you'd like the ecosystem to build on top of it.
Yeah, our job should be building the core horizontal building blocks that are really just annoying for everybody else to go build, hundreds of times.
Right.
And so the first building blocks that we created were again storage, content management, some of the basic core file system technology. Last week we had a developer conference. We announced that we have metadata now. That's a service that we saw. Essentially, every single person that was building on Box had to build their own metadata or database scaffolding around our platform,
right,
because they had to attach metadata to their content. So we released that as a horizontal service, and now we'll see an explosion of new use cases that can be created.
Is Box the beginnings of a knowledge management system that actually works, or is that the wrong approach? I mean, people have been trying to build knowledge management systems for decades. They never get adopted.
Yeah, I don't know. It's hard to talk about knowledge management systems. It usually puts people to sleep. So I think we don't talk too much about knowledge management systems, but the idea is obviously all of your information should be accessible by the right people. A lot of that is knowledge. A lot of that's product information. Some of that is even machine to machine. So we had a cool demo. There's a company called Skycatch that does enterprise drones, and in mining and construction and oil and gas and in farming. The ability to have aerial imagery of your crops or of the site that you're building up is a tremendous advantage from a time and efficiency standpoint. And so all of the data from that drone is now going to the Box platform. They're attaching metadata to it, so you can get longitude and latitude data that gets sent back. So we think there's just going to be so many new endpoints and sources of information, and our job is just to hopefully store it and then help our customers take advantage of it.
All right, and if anyone has questions, I don't know, do we have somebody walking around with a microphone, or is that going to work? If you have a question, raise your hand and or stand up, and I'll call on you. Let's talk a little bit about just the building of the business and how you've done that. You obviously learned a lot in the process. If you had to do it all over again, what would you do differently in terms of the funding, in terms of?
Okay, check 4 for that too. No, I think the only thing I would have done differently is move faster. I mean, every single thing that we are doing now, I wish we were doing 3 years ago, and so that way we can just be farther along the learning curve of where this market is going. I think there were, for the first year and a half of the company, we weren't enterprise. We didn't know that was going to be the ultimate outcome, so we certainly meandered a bit and delayed that process longer than maybe we should have. I mean, maybe we could have shaved 6 months or a year off that process if we made those decisions more quickly. So my job right now is to ensure that we don't repeat those mistakes of either moving too slowly or going down the wrong path. I don't think that we would have done anything particularly different. I think the market that we're in is something that we're incredibly excited about, and so we're going to certainly push forward on that.
Why are you such a hurry?
We see a window of opportunity where that won't be open forever. Where you have, it's really, really hard to have this many factors come together at once to create a new space, right? Even in the most disruptive of companies that we think of, whether it was Google or Facebook or others, they didn't have this confluence of events. And the confluence is you obviously have a technology paradigm shift from on-premise to cloud. You have a mobile shift and a computing shift from desktop to desktop and mobile. You have a worker shift, so there's just literally a new demographic of worker that's going to bring in a new set of tools. And we have a more of a global workforce than ever before. So the need to connect the global workforce is at its highest. And you can finally build software that is designed for users, that can be built for the enterprise. Like, we didn't have these methodologies previously. So you take 4 or 5 pretty significant factors, and I haven't even talked about the explosion of data, and that creates a once-in-a-lifetime opportunity for all of us.
It's a real land grab right now.
It is, and so that's why you have to be in a rush, because someone's going to grab that land, and we would certainly like to be a part of that.
Who are you worried about more, the Googles and Microsofts of the world, or the Dropbox?
Yeah, I think we think about all of the potential competitors and partners. Some of them are the deepest incumbents, the EMCs of the world and the IBMs of the world. Some of them are the newer consumer services that we have to pay attention to. I would say that I reread Only the Paranoid Survive on a 3-month basis, pretty much. So we have that deeply in our blood, that we need to constantly be focused on what is the new thing that this market is creating, that we have to pay attention to. And our job is to, again, be the best company at blending the end user experience you need from enterprise software today. So if we're doing our job, the individual at Procter & Gamble on the marketing team should experience our technology as a consumer service, just as they would any other consumer service. But the CIO of Procter & Gamble should have world-class security and analytics and control and ability to understand what's going on in their business at a global scale. And if we can marry those two things in a way that nobody else can, that's really how we compete.
Okay, then the final question is for all the founders in the room. If you had to come up with one sort of daily habit or weekly habit that's really helped you, manage and get a handle on the fast-growing business, what would it be? Is it meetings at hot tubs, or?
I don't think anybody knows what you're referring to, so it's kind of weird, probably.
But now that you look it up.
I don't know. I mean, if you type Aaron meeting hot tub, I'm not positive you'd want those results. So, so I don't know how somebody would look up what you just. I don't know the Google query that would result in the right answer. No, so just because that's weird, and I should cover it. You're referring to high school, my high school days, I believe, because I haven't been in a hot tub in a while. So, so the first 4 employees of Box, including myself, we all grew up together actually. So we went to middle school and high school together, and so in high school we would. It's really cool when you have no friends except for 3 other guys. You get in a hot tub and you brainstorm technology ideas. So, that was my high school life, and we had way too many ill-fated adventures in those hot tubs. But
So what's taking the place of a hot tub?
now it's just sort of 3 a.m. brainstorm sessions. We actually do try, so the first 4 employees, we try and go once a year off-site for about 24 hours and just sort of reimagine the business. So once a year, we just take a step back and we say, hey, are we going down the path that we want? How do we grow faster? What new markets do we want to take a look at? And so that's been a tradition that we've been pretty excited about. I mean, the founder advice I'd give is obviously, the team is the most important thing. We would not be here in the enterprise without the team. It was because of my founding team that we really realized how important the enterprise market was going to be. It was because of early sales hires and early product hires that realized how we could develop the strategy around this. My job is to synthesize and kind of connect the dots, but all of the ideas are coming from people everywhere that I'm working with. So the team is obviously incredibly important. And then the trick or the basic thing that I've done for quite some time is once a week you sort of take a step back and you say, what will we be doing in the business better? And I generally generate a list of things that I'm going to go execute on, and that's just sort of how I run my life. Is what are all the things that could either help us grow faster? What are the things that we need to go improve on? What are the new areas that we should be paying attention to? And that's just your task list as a founder. Is your job is to make sure that nothing is in your company's way of growth, and that's what I spend most of my time on.
Well, thanks for joining us.
Awesome. Thanks a lot, guys. Good luck.
All right, let's get started. We got